Hey, good evening, Jerry Upchurch here. Just wanted to get a quick note out to you. I had mentioned this morning that I was starting a 30-day trial, a 30-day series on John Maxwell's new book. His book is on intentional living, or basically it says creating a life that matters. Creating a life that matters. You know, and that's what we all want. When I bought the book, he was at our church 2 weeks ago, and he offered the book and a 30-day series of videos to go along with the book for $15. So I went ahead and bought that, and I'm starting today on the first video that he taught on intentional living. And he asked the question today. He said, is it possible for good intentions to have a negative impact? Or is it possible for good intentions to be bad? And you know John Maxwell, he's always got a little twist to something. So normally you would think it's not bad for something to have, for a person to have good intentions. But it's sort of like the 5 frogs that got on a log. They had intentions of crossing that log, and then once they got on the log, they decided they were going to jump in. And the question goes along with that action is, if there were 5 frogs on the log and they decided to jump in the water, how many frogs were left on the log? And the answer to that question is 5 were left on there. They decided to jump off, but they never did take the action to jump. So that's sort of the direction John is taking with his question here. Is it possible to have good intentions and that be a bad thing in your life? And of course his answer is yes, it is. It is possible. And basically then he goes on to compare good intentions with intentional living. And he goes on and says, good intentions are nothing more than a wish, a desire. And intentional living comes along, he says, okay, and intentional living means purposeful living, living with a purpose. And more than just a desire, it is taking the action to make those desires come true. Good intentions are nothing more than a fantasy until some action is taken to make those intentions come true. The fantasy versus being strategic about going out and doing something purposeful toward accomplishing your goal. He says good intentions are typically based on emotions. And, we get excited about something. We say, I'm going to do that. Well, I'm going to do that. But purposeful living is based on discipline to make something happen. Day in and day out, consistent discipline to make something happen. Good intentions are someday I'm going to do this. And that reminds me of the story of Dennis Waitley in one of his books. He called it Someday I'll. We always want to travel, and we travel to Someday I'll. Like an island is what he's talking about. Someday we want to go there, but until we take the action, we never get to that place. But someday, good intentions are based on someday I'm going to do that, where purposeful action says I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it now. And then he goes on and says, good intentions are kind of passive. You don't do anything about it except think about it. Good intentions are passive, where purposeful living is very active. So think about these things that I just went over there, whether you're living a life for that a wish and a dream, a fantasy, or is it something based on emotions, or is it something that you're going to do someday? Are you very passive about it, or living with purpose and intention? It means that you're getting up every day saying, I'm going to do something great today for my business. I'm going to do something great today for my family. I'm going to do something great today for somebody else. And that's what our sermon was on Sunday, is being showing kindness to somebody else by offering, putting them first. Think of others more than yourself. But going back to our business, we want to have intentional living in our business. We want to have purposeful living. We want to have an action-packed life. We want it to be very strategic in accomplishing goals every day. And we want to have the discipline to do it every day. We want to have the discipline. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it now. And we are very active about making things happen in our business. And intentional living causes us basically to enjoy the fruit of making every day of our life count for something. Enjoy the fruit of having something positive happening every day because of intentional living. And then John asked, at the end of the video today, he asked a question about, the question was, take a look at the actions of this past day, take a look at the actions of this past week, of this past month, this past year, and ask yourself, have these actions been characterized by good intentions, or have they resulted in intentional living? Now, what I mean by that are the actions being applied to our good intentions to make our life a life that matters. And once we get a life that matters, we're going to start seeing great things happen. So think about this. This is day one. I'm going to be blogging about this, and I've got a lot of great things I want to come out with on intentional living and living a life that matters. And over the next 30 days, you'll probably see a lot of this, and you might even get tired of it. But take it and do something intentionally with it every day and make your life count. Read the blog below, click on the link, join up with us, and get into the newsletters that I'm sending out about each of these intentional living videos that John's sending out. So have a great evening. Christmas is coming up. Merry Christmas to you. Have a great holiday season. Love you guys.